Welcome into the Week 9 recap, and as always, we will start with redraft. Washington Rednecks 4-5 defeats Gumpy Glissies 5-4, 137.96 to 120.22. The scoring distribution looked very similar in this contest, with each defense scoring around 17.5, each quarterback around 30, and each running back duo combining for around 32. The difference was made at the wide receiver position. The Washington Rednecks fielded CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, and Jakobi Meyers, who all well surpassed the totals of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Zay Flowers. The Rednecks used this to add another tally to the win column and stay in contention for a playoff run. This Washington Rednecks win breaks an 8-8 all-time series tie, with the Rednecks recording their 9th all-time win over Gumpy Glissies. Bills Mafia 4-5 defeats Nico's League 3-6, 115.1 to 103.32. It was Austin Ekeler versus Breece Hall on Monday Night Football, with Ekeler and Bills Mafia coming out on top. Bills Mafia tallies the win despite scoring in the bottom half of the league this week and despite a negative score from their defense. This game was massive in the big picture, as Bills Mafia now just needs to score in the top half in Week 10 or have Nico's League score in the bottom half for their season to continue. This is Bills Mafia's 6th all-time win over Nico's League in 10 attempts. The Stoners 6-3 defeat the Red Carpets 1-8, 125.48 to 94.08. The Stoners go down multiple quarterbacks due to byes and injuries, and Bears gunslinger Tyson Bagent fills in adequately, scoring 18.1 points despite throwing 3 interceptions. Amari Cooper has a big day, and that was really all that was needed to take down a weak Red Carpet squad. The Red Carpets won't be competing in the conference tournament, but they'll still have a few battles to try and stay out of the lake. The Stoners remain undefeated against the Red Carpets all time, with the only other scheduled matchup between these two rivals going the Stoners' way last year. Steel Curtain 6-3 defeats Scoop the Delinquent 4-5, 148.44 to 84.8. Steel Curtain puts a beat down on Scoop the Delinquent in this Week 9 contest. It was basically due to one player, C.J. Stroud. Stroud lights up the scoreboard, throwing for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns en route to 44.2 fantasy points, looking like a veteran quarterback and leader despite this being his rookie season. Stroud was so impressive, it seemed as if he beat the Buccaneers by himself, which is likely due to the fact that the Buccaneers don't wear maize and blue and are not located in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Steel Curtain is almost as dominant over Scoob as Michigan was over Stroud, having only lost one game all time in the 7 matchups between these franchises. No pun intended, 6-3 defeats Leftist Cheers 6-3, 129.64 to 110.2. It would have been much closer had Leftist Cheers not made the last-second decision to start the Giants' defense, but nonetheless, no pun intended wins in this episode of the league's biggest rivalry. No pun intended does most of the damage in the Buccaneers-Texans game, with Tank Dell and Rachaad White combining for 54.18 points, over 40% of NPI's final total. No pun intended earns their 7th win in 17 all-time matchups of this storied rivalry. Our Week 10 redraft power rankings, we don't have very much movement, but as always, we'll start at the bottom at number 10, not moving, the Red Carpets. At number 9, staying put, Nico's League. At number 8, not moving, Bills Mafia. At number 7, moving down 1 spot, the Washington Rednecks. At number 6, moving up 1 spot, Steel Curtain. At number 5, staying put, Scoop the Delinquent. At number 4, staying put, the Stoners. At number 3, not moving, no pun intended. At number 2, not moving, Gumpy Glissies. And remaining in the number 1 spot is Leftist Cheers. This is where I would normally say our Week 10 game of the week, but Week 10 is a 50-50 week, meaning the top 5 scores of the week will get wins and the bottom 5 will get losses. So keep an eye on those division standings and who is winning and losing. I will update the matchups accordingly so that the highest scoring team will be playing against the lowest scoring team, and we will likely probably have a Monday night showdown between the teams around the middle. All right, let's move into Dynasty. Nico's Dream Team 4-5 defeats Prestige Worldwide 3-6, 131.9 and 95.96. Nico's Dream Team provides a respectable total score this week on their way to the win over a struggling Prestige Worldwide squad. Prestige Worldwide didn't have a second quarterback option this week, requiring James Cook to start in the Superflex spot and lead them to the league's lowest score of the week. Nico's Dream Team had the opposite situation, with many players cracking double digits and 2 going over the 20-point mark. This is Nico's Dream Team's 4th win in 10 all-time matchups against Prestige Worldwide. Gump Dynasty 6-3 defeats Stratton Oakmont Inc. 6-3, 127.94 to 107.04. CJ Stroud was handing out fantasy points like Halloween candy, and Gump Dynasty is a recipient of all the sweets in this Week 9 Game of the Week showdown. Just 3 players, Stroud, Derrick Henry, and Gus Edwards, combined for over half of Gump's points on their way to the win. Gump Dynasty has dominated this matchup since the league's inception. This win marks their 6th in 7 attempts, with their only loss coming in Week 10 of last year. I Am They 4-5 defeats Sneezy Raccoon 74 6-3, 131.88 to 112.22. I Am They is flipping the script entirely. A few calculated trades and their squad is looking much better, even pulling upsets like this one over Sneezy Raccoon 74. Baker Mayfield, Tank Dell, and Amari Cooper provide most of the points for I Am They, who has a fairly easy path to a potential playoff berth this year. This is I Am They's 6th win in the 9 all-time matchups between these two. Scoob Empire 4-5 defeats Cumber Dynasty 3-6, 129.64 to 121.64. It was a little too close for comfort on Monday Night Football for the Scoob Empire, but Austin Eckler's second touchdown of the night pushes them over the hump to beat Cumber Dynasty. Cole Kmet has himself a day, scoring the Bears' only 2 touchdowns on his way to 21.5 fantasy points. This was a needed win for the Scoob Empire, as Prestige Worldwide falls below them in the conference standings. It also puts them above Cumber Dynasty, which could be very important in the long run. This is the 3rd win all-time for Scoob over Cumber Dynasty, breaking a 2-2 tie in the records. This also finishes as the 6th closest game this season. Our Week 10 Dynasty Power Rankings, starting at the bottom at number 8, moving down 2 spots, Prestige Worldwide. At number 7, staying put, the Scoob Empire. At number 6, moving up 2 spots, I Am They. At number 5, staying put, Nico's Dream Team. At number 4, moving down 1 spot, Cumber Dynasty. At number 3, moving up 1 spot, Stratton Oakmont Inc. At number 2, staying put, Gump Dynasty. And remaining in the number 1 spot is Sneezy Raccoon 74. Our Week 10 Dynasty Game of the Week is Sneezy Raccoon 74 6-3 versus Stratton Oakmont Inc. 6-3. Rivalry Week rolls around in Dynasty, and boy do we have a big one. Winner will be at least tied for the league's best record coming out of the regular season and into the conference tournament. Winner also gets their choice of opponent for the conference tournament semifinal in Week 11. All right, thanks for listening. We will move into Ida League. The Red Riders have won their 7th game in a row after starting 0-2. This is getting out of hand. Death somehow goes crazy and posts 180.44 points. This is mostly due to CJ Stroud's wild performance, throwing for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns on his way to 46.4 fantasy points. Stroud was only able to do this because the Buccaneers don't wear maize and blue and aren't located in Ann Arbor, Michigan. If they were, Stroud would have shriveled up in the cold and got his head kicked in. In Houston, though, he looks insane, and luckily the Texans don't play the Lions, or else Stroud would probably just stay home rather than have to deal with Aiden Hutchinson. United States Postal Service finally goes down. Influence Driving does what everyone was waiting for and beats the team that somehow started 7-1. Youngwei Koo's 19.2 points is a major helper in the victory. Bucknuts has finally won. In their first non-50-50 week win, Bucknuts successfully avoids the packing of his fudge. It likely won't matter, but beating Doug is always a moral victory. And injury-riddled Show Them TDs takes the win over Chad's personal shop vac with Rashad White's breakout performance against Houston. Chad's personal shop vac is now on a 5-game losing streak after starting the season 4-0. This is, interestingly, the exact opposite situation as Red Riders. Our Week 10 Ida League Power Rankings, starting at the bottom. At number 10, not moving, is Death. At number 9, not moving, Influence Driving. At number 8, staying put, Fudge Packers. At number 7, staying put, Bucknuts. At number 6, not moving, East Savages. At number 5, moving down 1 spot, United States Postal Service. At number 4, moving up 1 spot, Show Them TDs. At number 3, staying put, Chad's personal shop vac. At number 2, staying put, Slower Ponies. And remaining in the number 1 spot is Red Riders. Reminder that Week 10 is the 3rd and final 50-50 week. So normal 50-50 week stuff going on for Week 10. After Week 10, after next week, I will provide playoff scenarios and projections and all that since we only have 2 weeks left. So we'll know exactly what the scenarios are for teams to try and make the playoffs, if they need to win both games or win one game or have some teams lose, all that kind of stuff. So we'll be looking out for that after Week 10. All right, everyone, thanks for listening to the Week 9 recap. We will see you in Week 10.